I'm not the hugest fan of going out at night. I would always rather work or stay home with the wife and kid. But sometimes there's like really irresistibly fun things that you just can't say no to. And in that case, I feel okay about it. Tonight is one such occasion. I think, I hope, I don't know what to expect. I have my Snapchat set so anybody can send me snaps, like people I don't know, strangers and stuff. And the snap that I get the most are from people and it just says bored. Or it's like a selfie of them and they're like bored, nothing to do. How are there this many people that have all this time and no way to occupy it? You could build a city with all the free time that people spend sitting around being bored, sending me snaps of themselves sitting around being bored. Can you read what that says? That is a fluorescent light that hangs above my office door that says work harder. It also says the same thing tattooed on my wrist, just in case I forget. So today's vlog is about time management and productivity. I really want to get into it. Seneca said, it's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Thank you, Ryan, for turning me on to that quote. And that pretty much sums it up. Right now it's go time for me. I want to maximize every waking second. I'm never going to get any younger, but right now I'm completely healthy, I'm full of energy, and who knows how long this will last. I doubt it's going to be like that when I'm 50 or 60 years old, so I want to do it now. With that, I wanted to share a little bit of my thinking behind that, like a little bit of the logic and then the mechanics behind maximizing, or my consideration for really maximizing every day. And I know that this is crazy person talk, but the truth is, the only time I really get bummed out or depressed is when I'm not being productive, is when I'm not accomplishing or doing or contributing in any way. Nothing makes me less happy than relaxation and sitting around with nothing to do. What I'm doing here with the dominoes, this paper, tape measure, this overhead shot, is I'm gonna do an animation of my day, what I think of as a pretty productive day, and how I sort of manage my time. The dominoes are broken into 6 different color categories. Where's my tape? First is white, and that is free time. Next up is black. Black is sleep. Red is work. Orange is exercise. And blue is family time. Last is purple, and purple is like fun or partying or playing video games. That's purple. Here are your 24 hours. This is kind of how my day looks. So starting at 7 a.m., I like to get in 1, 2, 3 hours of exercise. Immediately heading into work at 10 a.m., 6, 7. Okay, then I get home at 7 p.m., and that's when I do family time. So putting the baby to bed, stuff like that. That usually goes till about 9 or 10 p.m. So then starting at 10 p.m. when Candace goes to bed, that's usually when I edit this vlog. So from 10 p.m. until 1 a.m., I'm back at work. So at 1 a.m. I go to bed, and that's when I sleep. And I sleep from 1 a.m. usually till about 5 a.m. And then I get up at 6, and from 6 to 7 is when I do email. So then that's sneaking in 1 more hour of work. So this is my day. This is what almost every day looks like. There's a slight shift in the weekend. This is like a pretty grueling schedule. And the reason why it looks like this is this work time here from 10 a.m. till 7 p.m., my work day, it's a fairly typical work day. This is the time spent working on my new company. This is the time I spend focusing on building this business. I pull some minutes out of there to try to catch up shooting this vlog, but for the most part, my daytime, my day job is a full-time, 50+ hours a week focus on my new company. So then where do I make this vlog? Where do I work on this vlog? I had to steal some hours here from sleep. These hours otherwise, from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. would be sleep. from 6 a.m. till 7 a.m., that would be sleep. Time is the most precious resource for me right now in life. This is the most valuable thing I have, and that's why I'm so protective of my time. And why I'm so emphatic about all of this is that I think life is substantiated by whatever impact or whatever contribution you can make while you're alive. The finish line's the same for everyone. We're all ending up in the same place, but while we're here, what contribution can you make? Work and building things and making things and doing things and spending time with your family, those are the ways that I feel I'm contributing, that I'm accomplishing something. So why wouldn't I want to maximize my time as efficiently as possible to be as effective as I can with that? And that is why I say free time is the enemy of progress, because free time sitting around is not doing. And that's why I try to omit that entirely from my life. This idea is more of a fundamental, it's more of a principle. It's one of like my guiding rules in life. And I want to address it on this vlog because a lot of people in the comments below and whenever I do Q&As, a lot of people ask me about what they should do when they're sort of at any kind of fork in the road, at any sort of crossroads in life, and they need to make a decision. What should they do? And this is like big life decisions, not like what should I have for lunch today. In life, you should only ever be doing one of two things, and that is figuring out what you're most passionate about, like finding your dreams in life, and then two, realizing those passions, realizing those dreams. And the first one is much harder than the second one. If you know what you want to do, no big deal. You just commit your entire life to doing it, and you'll either get really close or you'll die trying. But figuring out what it is that excites you, what it is that you're most passionate about in life is really, really tricky. So how I approach it, and this is how I've always approached it. This is how I approached it when I was on welfare, when I was 17 years old. This is how I approached it when I was washing dishes, when I was 20. This is how I've approached my entire life. And that is to absolutely fixate on what it is that I want to be doing all day long, every day. Like, what am I doing right now? Is this exactly where I want to be? And by always checking with myself, always checking in, like always hitting that reset button, I can always be really confident in my actions because I know that my ambition is true. It's like that platitude, without a goal you can't score. I really believe in that because if you can't see like the goalposts, how do you know which way to kick the ball? Now, this is by no means a shortcut or a way to make life easier. Every time I've sort of made a big decision on what I wanted to do in life, or I've discovered a passion, it's been then like years of pain and years of struggle to realize or to even get myself on the course to realize that. When I first discovered filmmaking and I was like, this is all I want in life, I was 17 years old, I was on welfare. It took me a decade before I figured out how to make a living at it. When I decided that I didn't want to date anymore, I didn't want to be single, that I was unhappy, I wanted a family. It took me years to talk Candace into marrying me, and then actually us getting married, and then having a baby. I was looking through my archives here, trying to find some footage to support the behind the scenes that I wanted to do today. And I found something that's really awesome. It stars a very drunk Candace, my now wife, who 10 years ago was just some babe I was on a hot date with. And it's at like 4 in the morning, and we were leaving a bar or something, I don't remember. What had happened was my older brother Van's bike had been stolen a few days earlier. We were in the same neighborhood, which is Alphabet City. I saw these like 4 dudes leaning up against the wall, hanging out, and they had Van's bike. So I gave Candace my camera, I gave her my backpack, and I remember saying to her, whatever happens, do not try to help me. Just call the police if the shit goes down. What happened, and she didn't do a very good job of capturing this because she was busy filming herself, what happened is I just rolled up on these 4 guys, and they're like big thugs, and I was like a 24-year-old, and I remember like being like, blind confidence, Casey. Overwhelm them with confidence. Make these 4 dudes fear you. And I just like rolled up, fists clenched, and like stared into their eyes, like glaring eye contact. And then I grabbed the bike, put it on my shoulder, never broke eye contact, and walked away. Okay, here's the video.
Casey thinks that he saw Van's bike. Van's bike got stolen last night, or he thinks he sees it. Are you fucking kidding me? He's got it.
Anybody following me?
Whose bike is that?
Van's.
How do you know it's his?
I got the license plate.
Yep, that's Van's bike.
John wants to know, who would you love more than anything to get a compliment from? You know, John, I have a rule, and that is to ignore praise and embrace criticism. So I never try to seek compliments. It's generally a dead end. This is kind of a ridiculous question, but Ben wants to know, Casey, how do you live so philosophically? I don't really know what you mean by that, but I try to pay attention always. I pay attention to everything I read, everything I hear, everything I see. And then I ignore about 99.9 repeating % of that, and whatever is left over I hang on to for dear life. And I think this philosophical living that you're speaking of is just me sort of sharing the aggregate of what I've absorbed over the course of my life. Why does Owen work in a donut shop? Why don't you get him a cool job? Okay, let me spend a little bit of time picking this one apart. So my son Owen has his first job right now, and he works at a Krispy Kreme donut place at the cash register selling people donuts, which is a tough job. And yes, I could make a phone call and I could get him some cushy, easy, fun, cool job at like a production company doing something totally awesome. But I'm his father, and I try to do what's best for him at all times. And what's not good for a kid to have as his first job is something cushy and cool. Beyond learning the value of $1 and beyond learning what the suck means of working in a place like that, he will forever, for the rest of his life, no matter how successful or rich or famous he might become, he will forever treat people that work behind a counter with the level of respect that they deserve, because he will appreciate and understand how hard that job is. That's one of the reasons. The bigger reason, 2 days ago or 3 days ago, I did a whole vlog about sort of life's principles and what it means to always fixate on what do you want from life and then figure out how to execute that. And a lot of people replied with, what's the best way to find your passion? What's the best way to find your calling in life? And I have an answer to that, and I don't know that this answer is right, but this is an answer I firmly believe in. The best way to find what you love in life is by doing something you hate. A cushy job, a cool job, a job that you like is comfortable. That comfort breeds complacency, and that complacency breeds stagnation. So you just kind of stay there because it's a fine job, even though it may not be your dream or your passion. And then all kinds of shit happens. She gets pregnant, you buy a car, there's a mortgage payment, you have a house, you have this cushy life, and before you know it, you have these handcuffs, these golden handcuffs that is your day job, that you didn't love, you never loved. It was just an easy job, but now there's no way out of it. And all of that happens by doing something that's cushy and easy. If you get a job that absolutely sucks, something you hate doing, you will spend every minute on the clock fixating and fantasizing about what you wish you were doing. Where did I find my passion for filmmaking and my drive to do what I do in life? I found it in the bottom of the nastiest, burnt up clam chowder pot ever, working in a shitty seafood restaurant where I'd have to dig so deep into that pot to scrub the bottom that it would get all over my arms and all over my shirt. And I just reeked of stale seafood and it never came off my body. But doing that for years, 50 hours a week, every week for like 5 years, really galvanized for me what I wished I could be doing. I fantasized about having a job that I loved, about doing something I was super passionate about working for myself and not having some asshole boss telling me what to do all the time. I obsessed over it. But if I had been in some cushy, some sweet, some fun job that my dad got for me, none of that drive would have been there. So yeah, Owen works in a donut store. And what he will get from working in a donut shop, what he will get from a shitty job is invaluable. And he might not appreciate that, and whoever wrote me that comment might not appreciate that, but believe me, at some point in his life, he will look back and he will see that that was one of the most influential jobs he could have ever had. I hope. Otherwise, he'll hate me forever for making him work in a donut store. This is a good one, I like this a lot. Maddie asks, what's the least favorite movie you've ever made? It's actually, hold on Maddie. Okay, I'm just covering up the name of the musician, but see how it says biggest mistake ever? That was a music video my brother Van and I directed in 2004. It just wasn't right, we should have said no. But we were dead broke, and it was the first like real opportunity to do something for real. It was a music video. So we did it, it came out terribly, no one was happy, and to this day it certainly has been like biggest mistake ever. And from that mistake, I learned so much about when you say yes and when you say no to gigs that involve money. Either March or February of 2014, so this is like a year plus ago. I had been sitting on this idea for a really long time, and I hate sitting on ideas. I think ideas you either act on or you set them free. You don't dwell on an idea or it will go rotten really quickly. All right. Now, I want to tell a story. This is a story that I've been meaning to tell, that I've wanted to tell for a really long time. In life, there's risk and there's recklessness. And risk is always okay. Risk is always meant to be pursued. But recklessness is really dangerous and really stupid and should always be avoided. But the two are really close, and like from afar, they're very hard to tell apart. This story is of the time that I crossed the line from risk into recklessness. And this is probably the only time in my life where I've ever felt like I lost control. And when I say I lost control, you know, I'm somebody who's like, I've jumped out of an airplane in Israel. I've jumped into a sinkhole in the Middle East. I flew in an attack helicopter over Afghanistan. I got hit by a car and shattered my leg in 27 places. And I've crashed more motorcycles than honestly I can keep track of. April 7th, 2009, I slid and went down. But this is the only time where looking back at it, really examining it, I realized how stupid it was. Honestly, I think that I made it out of there, that I survived by a thread. One of my closest friends in the whole world is a guy by the name of Graham. Graham VC is freaking the f*** out.
I just I'm that site. That's it.
In 2007, Graham and another friend and my brother and me, we all climbed Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. It was super awesome. Like, Mount Kilimanjaro it was fun, it was exciting. I climbed it in sneakers, and though it's like a little bit dangerous, it's not a particularly hard climb. It was great. Now, we had fun on Kilimanjaro, but after that, Graham and I got to talking, and we thought it wasn't enough of an accomplishment or of a challenge for guys like us, that is, like, reckless individuals with very little forethought. We wanted something more ambitious. So Graham and I made the somewhat rash decision to climb a mountain called Aconcagua. Aconcagua is the tallest mountain in the southern hemisphere. It's the tallest mountain in the world outside of the Himalayas. With just about zero preparation and no training, Graham and I packed up a bunch of gear, we flew to Chile, and we headed to the mountain. Just got to Santiago, Chile. I'm looking for Graham now. I wanted to make sure I wasn't the only one who grew out his facial hair. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. Good to see you. Now, Aconcagua is 22,841 feet tall. That's high. It's not a really technical mountain. You don't need ice axes or crampons or like ropes or anything. You just go up. That said, it's an incredibly dangerous mountain. I'm sitting at a computer right here and I typed in death on Aconcagua. January 2009, that is days after we were there, 5 climbers died. I mean, that was literally days after we had left the mountain. I can't describe how excited we were. We had nothing but like an unbridled enthusiasm when approaching the mountain. And we're taking the first steps of our trip up the mountain. Graham? Yep. There was this moment when I saw the actual mountain for the first time. We had been hiking for like 3 days, and it was the first time where we could see like an unobstructed view of what we were about to ascend. And that was the first time I was a little bit scared. Our goal wasn't just to climb the mountain. We wanted to summit the mountain, do it with no porters, that is, no one to help us carry our 100+ pounds of gear up the mountain, and no guide, no one to show us the way. For fun, we also brought no GPS, just a map and a pencil.
We're at 16,750 feet. Check out the view outside of our tent.
You can see the curvature of the earth from here.
It's pretty amazing.
Cold it is, but
It's freezing. You also can't see how bad it smells in this tent because we had Jamaican barbecue chicken for dinner.
Yeah, and we had pad thai 2 days ago, and the leftovers were left in the tent to bake for the last 2 days.
So it just smells like rotten humans in here.
Here's where the stupidity kicks in. Graham and I were both like really narrow focused individuals, and when we set our minds to something, we stop at nothing to achieve it. Put two people like that together and put them at the foot of an incredibly dangerous mountain, and that's a horrible combination.
My brain's gonna explode. My head hurts. My eyeballs are swollen. My neck hurts. I don't want to do anything. I just want the pain to stop. And I have another 8,000 feet to go.
We had this mantra that we kept repeating that was summit or bust. As in, at all costs, we were making it up this mountain.
Any thoughts, Grim BC?
summit or bust. Summit strong.
There was no showering, and it took us like a week to get to base camp alone. So this next round of footage, this is when we started the climb from base camp to the summit. We don't really look great.
We're lost. We're at about 21,000 feet. It's a funny place to be lost.
And above 20,000 feet, there are no helicopters, there's no rescue squad. You are on your own.
It's 4:15 in the morning on Christmas morning, about 21,000 feet. It's about 15 below out, and we have to wake up now and go summit the beast.
Everything is caked in this ice and it drips down on you. We're gonna go summit the mountain now. Doesn't matter how cold it is.
Merry Christmas.
On Christmas Day 2008, it was summit day.
We're 37 minutes into our summit push, and we're watching the sunrise over the Andes, and we are literally over the Andes.
Now, you have this thing called turnaround time, and that means no matter what, at this time of the day, you turn around. I think ours was like 2 p.m. and ideally we would summit prior to that time and start climbing down. But had we not summited, no matter what, you turn around at your turnaround time.
We're right there.
We're so close to summit, but I keep like blacking out. I think it's from the altitude.
Both hurt.
We're both hurting pretty bad. I've never been anywhere near this altitude, but the part that hurts the most is summit is right there. We're gonna do it. We're gonna go for it. We're gonna go for it.
We come halfway around the world not to.
2 hours past turnaround time, we hadn't made it.
We're so close to summit. So close. Just I wish it would stop snowing.
So close. So far away.
Summit is right there.
Now, the title of this video, the title of this vlog episode is The Day I Almost Died. And that's not hyperbole, that is literally what happened in these moments. I have no memory of what happened then. I only have this footage. And what I remember explicitly was being so tired that I wanted to go to sleep. I wanted to lay down on that mountain and go to sleep. Had I done that, who knows what would have happened, but I don't know that I would have woken up if I had taken a nap at 22,500 feet with no energy, no water, no food, no oxygen, and no one to help me down.
This is the hardest thing I've ever done. I can't breathe, but I would never be able to live with myself if I didn't go for it. So I have to take every ounce of energy I have in my body. I've got to get to that fucking summit.
It was that moment that I felt like I had crossed that line in a really profound way. It was that moment that I felt like closer to not making it than any other time in my life.
This is it. This is me summiting the tallest mountain in the southern and western hemisphere. There should be a cross. There it is.
We summited. We shouldn't have. We should have turned around, but we summited.
And for the first time ever, right now, I honestly don't know what the fuck I was thinking.
And we both sort of made it down in okay shape. Graham took one really bad fall that I thought he was seriously injured, but he was fine.
Graham just fell off a cliff and was laying face down. No idea what happened to him. I think he tried to slide down it and just ended up going tits up. I mean, we were beaten to hell. I don't know what my middle name is. I couldn't tell you my social security number. I think there might be an 8 in it. Barely speak. I did summon it, but at what cost? My God.
When we naively, stupidly left to climb that mountain, a lot of people were like, there's no chance. In fact, it's the only time that I remember in my whole life where my brother doubted me. He didn't think I would make it. And I would say that's what drove me to actually summit. I put that as me being reckless in order to prove something that ultimately doesn't matter when you compare it to your health or your safety or your life. There is one super cool detail, which is Aconcagua in the southern hemisphere, and the only taller mountains in the world in the Himalayas, that is their winter, so no one's climbing in the Himalayas then. So at 4:06 p.m. on Christmas Day, 2008, Graham and I were literally standing taller than any other human beings on planet Earth, because we were at the top of the tallest climbable mountain at that very moment, at that very day. And that's a pretty amazing legacy to have. Lynn asks, what's your opinion on bullying? Lynn, I don't know that people can have an opinion on bullying. People are either unequivocally against bullying or people are wrong. I loathe bullying. I can't stand bullying. Hurt people. As in, if someone is hurt, then they'd make it their mission to hurt other people. And that's who bullies are. When someone bullies me by saying something malicious in the comments or wherever, I just block them from this YouTube channel. I want them out of my life. And I think that's kind of an analogy for life in general. If someone is negative, if someone is a bully, just stay as far away from them as possible. And something that my big brother Van used to say, which is really true and really harsh, their life is their punishment. If someone is really negative, believe me when I say they'll have a horrible life ahead of them. And that horrible life is their punishment for being such a negative, hurtful person. Do you think it's better to plan out your future all the way through or just play it by ear and see what happens? I apologize if I've said this in the vlog before, I can't remember. And this also isn't my original idea. Someone else told this to me, but it's great. It was a great piece of advice that I'm happy to share. I believe in something called the Tarzan method. And what that means is, you are Tarzan, me Tarzan. Starting on this side of the jungle, your goals, your dreams, your aspirations, they're the other side of the jungle. And there's no straight line through the jungle. You know what, let me do an animation for you here. The Tarzan method. What that means is, you're Tarzan, you're here, and you want to get to the other side of the jungle here. Ideally, there's this straight line. But what you find in life, what I've found in life, this is non-existent. This straight line here is a unicorn. It doesn't exist. Instead, you reach and you grab onto whatever vine you can grab onto and you swing. And that vine might carry you in this direction, which doesn't feel like the right direction to your goal. But it does get you a little bit closer. And then you grab onto another vine. It swings you all the way over here, a little bit closer. And then you swing in this direction, and then this direction, and 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 eventually you make it to where you want to be. But the beauty of the Tarzan method, the kind of the magic of being open-minded in your pursuit, is that these unknowns, where it might take you that you didn't imagine, that's usually where you find something that is actually what your goals are. I don't believe that there is a straight line between where you are and where you want to be in life ever. Not with family, not with romantic interests, and especially not with your career. So an open-mindedness, even if it looks like this, will yield results and outcomes that otherwise would have been unforeseeable. Okay, I'm ending the Q&A there because it's 1,000 degrees in this office because the air conditioner is broken. Questions. Nicole asks, how do you get yourself out of a rut? Work. Work is the answer to a lot of problems. It cures depression, heartbreak, all those things. You just, when you're in a bad place, I bury myself with work. The progress and the physical activity and the brain distraction, it like breaks me out of anything. Chin wants to know, why is Malcolm X a hero to you? Malcolm X is my hero because the guy went to prison as a total degenerate, as a proper criminal. He deserved to go to jail. And while in jail, all he did was educate himself. And when he came out as this great, strong, maybe one of the greatest communicators of the civil rights movement. And him being like this, I think the sort of quintessential autodidact is something that's tremendously inspiring for me because, you know, I'm a high school dropout. I never went to college, I never went to school. And when I was younger, a gigantic insecurity of mine was my lack of education. And looking at someone that had an impact on this world as tremendous as Malcolm X, and realizing that he also didn't have an education, he took it upon himself to educate himself, that's moving for me. And that's all without getting into the actual impact that he had in this world and what he did, which is tremendous. But I identify with him personally because of that journey. Friend Brian Holt. Honest question, why are you always wearing sunglasses? Because when you're cool, the sun shines on you 24 hours. What's it? Because when you're cool, the sun shines on you 24 hours a day. What movie is that from?
Why do you wear sunglasses at night?
Because when you're cool, the sun shines on you 24 hours a day.
Oh, yeah?
Cameron wants to know, what do you think about going to college? This is more of like a universal answer about college or life in general, but it's like the path you take to success or happiness in life can have a gazillion different manifestations. I dropped out of high school in the 10th grade and like went on welfare and got a job washing dishes because I had to. I had to support my baby, like I had no other options. But that is what led me to what I'm doing today. I couldn't have predicted that. And I think that what college is really incredible for is if you don't know what to do, college can be a really great place to find that. And that's not just the academic aspects, but also the social aspects. Being around new people, like living away from your parents' house, being exposed to all of the sort of different cultural aspects of being a melting pot that is like, that is a college. But I also think that the price of college is insanely expensive. And before you drop a couple $100,000 on it, on school, you know, money is fungible. Like how else could you spend that money and what will take you further in life? But in general, I have nothing bad to say about education in any capacity. Okay, I gotta stop. Eli wants to know, how has vlogging helped you as a filmmaker? Anyone that works in any creative field knows that when there's no impetus to create, it's very hard to make something. Meaning like without a deadline, it's hard to actually finish. Like that awesome platitude that I love to preach, without a goal, you can't score. So how vlogging has helped me as a filmmaker, it's forced me to make a new movie every day. And by doing that, my skills have improved, my editing has improved, my confidence in my editing has improved. Everything's been moved forward because of this vlog, because of this like self-imposed daily deadline. What is the hardest thing to learn how to do or master when you start filmmaking? How to tell a story. It's also the only thing that matters when you're making a movie, is can you or can you not tell a story? If you can tell a great story, people will forgive everything. Bad cinematography, bad sound, bad everything. People will forgive that if the story's great. Adversely, if the story's weak or the story's not there, it doesn't matter how pretty it is. It doesn't matter how much money you spent on the fanciest kit, no one gives a shit. Story is king. Everything else is slave to story. Let's talk about when it's okay to give up and when to quit. Sometimes you go out and you shoot all this stuff, you have this great idea, you come back to edit it, and for whatever reason, somewhere between beginning the process and finishing it, you just throw in the towel. It gets the best of us. It's never okay. There's never like a valid excuse not to finish something. That said, there are a number of projects that I've started and not finished. Okay, and we just never finished that movie. I don't know why, we just never finished it. Now that's like a silly, easy movie to not have finished. On a much bigger level, and this is why I am making this video. It's not because of a stupid snow day movie, it's because 4 years ago now, I went to Afghanistan. I went there with one of my closest friends in the whole world, a guy by the name of Scott Campbell. Scott is a tattoo artist, and he and I hatched this plan to travel to Afghanistan. This was the height of the war, the height of the surge, to embed ourselves with some soldiers in the battlefield, and then to just tattoo them. And there's a million stories behind this about what it took to get into the country, about like how scary it was, about how you sneak body armor through Dubai so you can get it into Afghanistan, because the DOD won't let you into Afghanistan if you don't have your own body armor. And then kind of the best part of the whole story is that we succeeded. We actually did it. We embedded with special forces, and we spent a week tattooing these guys. I made the movie. I made the movie several times. I've finished it several times. I have a doc on my computer right here that's an hour long. It's great. And I've never released it. And it's because I don't consider it done. The case with this movie in particular is unique. It's the fact that like these guys got hurt over there while we were there. And I have a sense of obligation to these guys to make this something that really captures who they are and what they're doing. And I just don't have the confidence in any of my current edits that they do that. This is something that keeps me up at night. This is a project that I've never finished. It's no secret that New York City is my favorite place on planet Earth. I love this city. I'm borderline obsessed with this city. That said, this city is also a stinking, rotting, just cesspool of filth. And nothing brings out that stank worse than the summertime. And today it's like 91 degrees out, and the whole city just kind of smells like, it sort of smells like if someone hid a dead fish under the driver's seat of your car, and then you rolled up the windows and left it parked in the sun for like a week. And it just smells like that everywhere.